Today, in our penguin painting day 1, you will learn the 3 rules for selecting a paint order, how to double load your paintbrush, and a few other helpful tips. So to begin, I'm going to do a review of the drawing and then a step-by-step of the paint for you. Enjoy! I'm going to begin with my penguin body. And I want this to be about centered in my paper. I don't want it too small or else I'm going to have too small of a penguin, or too big and I'm not going to fit it on my paper. My head, neck, my tummy. I think this flipper is going to come out this way, and this one, maybe he's waving. Put the horizon line behind your penguin. Put in my glacier lines. Every zig and every zag, straight down. Now some of these zigzags are going to run behind your penguin. That's quite okay. Just pick up your pencil. Last but not least, my little fishing pole here with my calm water, my cuts in the ice. It's very important that these cuts go straight up and down, so also parallel to the edge of the paper. And my fish. Make sure that your name and class code gets on the back of this, and you are going to be ready to paint. Today we are going to begin painting our penguins, and this is going to be something that we do in class. Unfortunately, learning how to hold brushes or to apply paint to paper is not something that you can do on your iPad. It's something that you have to actually experience in person. So we will be doing this portion in class. You are going to be using the tempera paint cakes. You're going to have a large, medium, and small brush and water container to begin. So I'm going to teach you a little technique today in regards to loading our paintbrush, and you are also going to learn how to pick areas to paint first. So when you are painting, there are a couple basic rules. One rule is that you start at the top and you work your way to the bottom. So start at the top, work your way down. Another rule is that you pick a large area, you paint your largest areas first, and then work to the itty bitty details. The third rule, when you can apply these, now you can't always apply these all at the same time, but the other rule is that you work furthest to closest. So in this case, on our penguin, the largest area, the furthest back, and the closest to the top would be the sky. Now you might say, Mrs. Shuttle, that doesn't make sense. The glaciers are much larger than the sky. But in all reality, the sky would be larger than the glaciers. So being that it's at the top, it's the furthest back, and it's the largest area, we're going to start there. You're going to begin by wetting your yellow and your orange. Now if your tempera cakes are dirty, just kind of swirl your brush around to clean them off. I tried to clean them as best I could, but as we use them, sometimes they get dirty. So I'm gonna wet those down, and while I'm at it, my water's clean, I'm gonna go ahead, and this is kind of off frame right now, but I'm going to wet the white I'm going to wet the turquoise, I'm going to wet the blue, and the green. All right, so I'm going to begin with my sky. I hope we can see that in frame there. And I'm going to teach you a technique called double loading your brush. So you are going to spin your brush and you're going to load it with your main color. In this case, our sky is going to be yellow. I'm going to load it with my yellow. And then I'm going to dance the tip of my brush in the orange. So what I've done here is the majority of my brush has yellow in it and the very tip has orange. Then I'm going to go along the edge of my glaciers with the tip touching the glaciers so that I have yellow in the sky and just a wee little touch of orange touching the edge of the glaciers. Now I'm losing some of my orange. I'm going to add some more there. All right. And then fill the rest in with your yellow. So this should color bleed out, and we've learned in years prior in classes and lessons that we've done in the past that color bleeding is the mixing of two colors with water. Okay? So I'm going to clean my brush out really good. I'm going to try to get this in the frame. So next I am going to use white and the turquoise, or you can use white and the blue. The choice is yours. In this case, for this demonstration, I'm going to use white and turquoise. I'm going to double load my brush again. It's very important that your white is clean for this, however, so make sure that it's clean. I'm going to load my brush with the white because my glaciers, the majority of them are white, and I'm going to then dance the tip of my brush in the blue. I'm going to keep it on the edge so I'm not getting the whole blue mucky with my white. And I'm going to go just on the lines. Be careful, your sky is still wet. You don't want to have your sky bleed into your glaciers if you can help it. If it does a little bit, no big deal, because as we know, snow and ice for that matter reflect the sky. And that's why it often looks blue. All right, I'm going to do the same thing right along my horizon line. And if I need to, pull it up a little bit. Oh my goodness, Mrs. Shartle, I went into the penguin. That's okay. In fact, I'm going to go right over top of my penguin's arms. No big deal. We'll fix it later. All right. So now for the ice area, I'm going to use white and my blue. So since I used white and turquoise here, I'm going to use white and blue for my land. And all I'm going to do is double load my brush again with the white, dance the tip in the blue. And I'm going to go right along the horizon line. Oh, I need a little bit more blue. Right along the horizon line here. And wiggle it down. I'm going to do a little bit underneath my penguin. Mrs. Shartle, I went into the feet. So did I. It's okay. And I'm going to do a little bit on the edge of my ice break here. So since we're painting with white, we're not really covering the whole paper. Like over here, I have no paint. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and paint my water. So for this, I'm going to use turquoise and green, or you could use turquoise and blue, or yeah, maybe turquoise and green or turquoise and blue. So I'm going to double load my brush with the turquoise, add some green, wiggle my brush to fill that in. Maybe a couple of these guys I give a little extra oomph to by going underneath. And my break in the ice, I'm gonna just kind of go right in the middle here to give it a little bit of color. Now before we get rid of the tempera paints, I want to paint my fish and the very tip top of my tummy. So for my tummy, I'm going to load white and yellow. So we've worked from the top to the bottom and from large areas to smaller areas, and from the back now we're working forward. So I'm going to just the very top of my belly, not the whole belly, but the top of my belly, I'm going to add just a little tint of yellow too. And my fish, I think I'm going to make green. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill in his face like so. Once you've colored your background, the tummy, the fish, you are done with your first day of painting. This needs to dry before we move on to the next step. So when you're done with this, you can pick it up on your scratch paper, carry that over to the drying rack, and we're going to let that dry before we begin day 2 of painting.